Hello, all you fine feathered individuals. This is League Unlock. You best believe it. Eric and Mark here with you guys for some power rankings this week, starting in the LCS North America, far and away. Even when we get to global power rankings, LCS hardest one to do this week because the middle top half of the pack, it's a mess. It's a mess, Mark.
It's not the good type of difficulty that comes with this job and doing power rankings. The good is really when you're trying to struggle between talented teams that are deserving of higher rankings in the power rankings. The LCS is not really an exercise in that type of challenge.
And you know what? I feel like the overall average level of play in the LCS has been much better this year than it was last year. Now, last year was an all-time low.
Yeah, come on. Immediately better than the lows of last year.
And they've been exciting. A lot of these games, yeah, you have some terrible games, 100 Thieves, Golden Guardians, which we'll talk about. But they've been exciting, and the storylines have obviously been super compelling throughout. But we're going 10-6 to start. We'll get to the 5-1. But 10-6, we're talking some battles at the bottom we've had. And Golden Guardians versus CLG, I mean, that's been ongoing the last couple of weeks. And the bar is just so low that a win, even if it's a win like they got against 100 Thieves, is enough to get you out the bottom.
Which that feels bad. That you cannot be
a dub.
Getting any type of reward for that type of performance of the Golden Guardians, and even if that reward is just 9th place above CLG, it feels bad to hand out that. When you're looking at the bottom of our power rankings for the LCS, CLG, there's some positive, the slightest sliver of positives with Broxa now with the squad. The idea that you've moved out of the first round robin and it's only a chance to improve moving forward.
They didn't look terrible, even in the games they lost. There were moments, even the C9 game, you were like, okay, yeah, a pentakill for Turtle. Wow, they're going to win this game. No, you never felt that, but.
Yeah, to get it over quickly, you got to be managing your expectations, obviously, when you're seeing this type of thing. Noticing us talking about that, yes, moving forward, all you can do is work to improve, get a better result in this half of the round robin, moving to the next one. Still, CLG is not exactly showing us any hope to be a top-level team. So expecting them to be anything more, you're fooling yourself. But that being said, yes, seen enough to show that they can maybe, fight, get a couple of upsets towards that bottom of the table, which, as we know in the LCS, that's going to have playoff implications.
Hey, don't worry, guys. CLG might double, maybe even triple their win total by the end of the split. So got that to look forward to. This was supposed to be the week for FlyQuest. That's the bounce back and easier schedule for them. And they go 1-2, and all of a sudden it's maybe FlyQuest just isn't that good.
I think this is an indication. I think we have other teams that we can talk more positively about where they are compared to our expectations. This is one for FlyQuest with a lot of people and a lot of expectations, and still expectations that knew that this was going to be some growing pains, that there was going to be a level of inexperience, obviously, with this roster. Still, the level of talent was supposed to be there, was supposed to be able to provide a higher level of challenge, a higher level of play. And we just haven't seen that. I don't think anybody has really seen that from FlyQuest. We've seen glimmers of it in some successful plays, successful runs for them in games. But unfortunately, as you know, and as you can see, the standings tell you the record is not good enough.
And, I mean, this is the week. Dignitas, Golden Guardians, Immortals, they go 1-2. That head-to-head against Immortals is why we're talking Immortals one game below 500 and why they're ahead of them in the standings. They've had moments, where Immortals look like a decent squad, so deserving of number 7, which I think is the highest they've been so far.
When you're examining those two, right, Immortals and FlyQuest, they're kind of in that same boat. But as you said, really is
a lot less expectations for Immortals, by the way.
Right, that as well, but still showing us that potential, still showing the glimmers, right, of proper play, of the way that they want to be playing and how they can challenge better teams. And that is the goal for this Immortal squad as well. I think both of them have to have, again, like we're talking Golden Guardians and CLG should be their own tier of performance is what we'll say. And
Yep.
then you move up that next tier. And right now, it seems like FlyQuest is needing to prove themselves and keep climbing up. Whereas Immortals is on that trend. They're already got that one step up on the next stairs.
And number 6, it's Evil Geniuses. They are the classic, if you put them in a best of 5 series, I could see them 3-0ing whoever they play in a stomp, and I could see them getting 3-0 in a stomp. It could absolutely go either way for them.
Yeah, they haven't shown enough consistency is the real key. And I mean, there are signs of some level of consistency when you're talking about this EG squad and some of the positives specifically. I think the bot lane is continuing to improve, continuing to be better, develop more synergy with themselves and more understanding, right, about when Ignar wants to roam and leave Deathly alone. That is certainly something I think has been improving. Redectin, that has been certainly consistent for Impact, but unfortunately, it's been consistently taken away. It's been consistently banned away from him, and they're not letting him get that nasty crocodile. That would be an extra level of power for this Evil Genius squad if they were able to get that into the top side. But really, the next step forward for them is getting consistency out of Jizuke in the mid lane.
Good luck. Been about 3 years since we've seen that. But yeah, he is the embodiment of Evil Geniuses. Top 5 now, and it's similar to what we saw last week. Similar being pretty much the same 5 teams, but the order changes a bit, and this is where I'm going to be honest with you. 5-2. You can make some arguments either way. We got Dignitas at number 5, and I know they had the win against TSM. They continue to look good and impressed. Absolutely, this is a playoff team. Absolutely, they're competing. But still, just because you have players like Fake God and Saligo that you don't fully have the confidence in yet, I'm hard-pressed to put them ahead of the 4 ahead of them.
Right. I think there still is a level of proving that needs to be done for this Dignitas squad. And that's not meant to be any type of slight of what they've proven to us and the rest of the community so far. But when you're examining their play, when you're really thinking about it, you examine it and talk about it in a sense that, look, they beat the expectations that you had for them entering the year. You thought that they would be much worse.
We're halfway through and they already beat it.
Right. But now it is the evaluation of, okay, well, now my expectation for you is to be in this tier, to be in this top 5 level of teams in the LCS. And now I got to stack you up against them and what they can bring and how you're going to do against the very, very best, not counting the whole LCS, just the best that you're going to have. And that is where you start to have some doubts for Dignitas. And that's not meant to say that there is not opportunities for them to completely prove everybody continuously wrong and continue to climb up the standings in the power rankings. I do want to take a moment. I know a lot of the attention has been on Dardoch and his jungle pool and what's been going on from there, but I do think that the rest of the squad absolutely deserves some praise in the way that they play around him. Their own play. Saligo on the Zir, my man, looking nice and fine as well. I think that a really big part of it does need to go to Afro Mood, the veteran support. This is someone who's gotten a lot of criticism from ourselves included over the past couple of years for his play, and I think deservedly so.
Player of the week.
But
player of the week.
Absolutely the trend the last year, and especially this year, has continued to improve from him, and he has been a massive part in getting that synergy rolling with Dardoch and what he wants to do in the jungle, let alone the play around elsewhere for Dignitas.
And he just churns out solid 80 carry performances year in, year out. We can go back to Stixay in 2016, Cody Sun when they were initially on 100 Thieves, Johnson last year, Neo has been surprising people so far. He's a fun support to play with, especially when he's on like he has been lately. 100 Thieves go down a couple of spots to number 4, and they had a pretty bad week for 100 Thieves. You're talking about 1-2. The only win comes against Immortals, and then you take a look at the losses. They got stomped by TSM. That game wasn't close. And then you have the Fiesta against Golden Guardians that they end up losing. That's a recipe for going down a couple spots.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to be going down a couple of spots. Number one, the draft for this week I thought was a weak point in many of their matches. Certainly in the TSM series, that was a point that I would take away from them, as well as surprisingly the bot lane's performance. Talking about FBI and Huhi, that is one that, especially in that TSM matchup, needed to be better and was expected to be better, not only in the 2v2 in lane, but outside of it. And in both places, they were absolutely not up to the task. And that's something that we haven't seen for a long time from both FBI and Huhi. I've got absolute faith that they're going to bounce back and can deliver better performances. But if you're talking about power and where they are, you can't be climbing up anywhere in this list.
And Team Liquid, who's a spot ahead of them now, didn't actually move. They stay put in that 3 spot. Obviously, a lot of the reason for that is the Cloud9 win. That's going to boost you pretty well, even though they have a worse record than 100 Thieves and Dignitas. They were pretty close to a 3-0 this week. Remember that matchup against EG. They were camping the living hell out of Impact, their former top laner, and then he still basically gets player of the game on the Gnar. But Team Liquid probably coulda, woulda, shoulda won that game. They're close to a 3-0. I know people are saying, Team Liquid's overrated. Why are they even the top 3? And now I'm saying people say Tactical's overrated. He was never even good. I don't know. I still got faith in Team Liquid.
And I've absolutely got faith in Team Liquid to, at the very least, be a top 3 team in the LCS. What they have, the talented players, what they can do. And even talking about the issues that they're going through right now, they're, for me, still in this top 3. And especially, as you said, picking up that big win against Cloud9, the way that they played, the positive signs, those are enough for me to hold their spot. And especially, you gotta be talking about 100 Thieves, as we just did, what they failed to do this weekend, right? Their performances, their disappointing weekend goes alongside this, with TL holding ground in, stopping that bad momentum with this win against Cloud9. And now you got a chance to refresh moving into that next part of the round robin, 5-4. This is not where you would expect to be as far as that actual record needs to be, and it should be better. That is the demand from everybody. But as far as looking about them in the power rankings right now, I can't see them outside the top 3.
And outside of them, now we have obviously a new number 2. Even losing Cloud9 to Team Liquid, they've still clearly been the best team so far in spring. We got to see Perks on the Tristana, absolutely Goomba stomping some fools. That was fun to see. Blobber continues to be clearly the best jungler in NA. Cloud9 pretty clearly still in that number 1 spot. But we were one Baron steal away, basically, from TSM having the same record as Cloud9 after week 3, which is something I did not think I'd be saying at all in 2021.
And the difference is in the way that they played and performed and gotten their victories, right? You're talking about Cloud9, and sure, there's some, overwhelming performances coming through from either the bot lane or from someone like Blabber himself, really making a name for himself, obviously, again this year. But with TSM, their performances all across the board, LS has said it himself, and he's the hardest critic. They have had some of the cleanest looking games in North America, and they put together. We're talking about the import specialty, Reggie TSM, absolutely getting it through. If you're talking about the power rankings of owners, we're sliding Reggie way down this week.
Yeah,
big negative slide.
Outside the top 10, definitely.
Yeah, but when you're talking about the players of TSM and what they deserve, this spot in the power rankings, they are absolutely 1-2 small mistakes away from having that top spot. They are continuing a very, very good trend.
And Cloud9, you mentioned, it's basically sheer force. Just out mechanically playing, out laning their opponents. We've seen them do that. They're just better, more talented of a team. TFSM's been doing it macro-wise. You can talk about whether it's Sword Art coming in with that world finalist mentality, but their movements around the map have definitely been maybe even cleaner than Cloud9's at time, and we're not used to seeing that out of TSM. We're talking even the best eras of TSM.
And again, in this positive, and this is a very dangerous situation still for TSM, is the performance from the top side, right? This is always going to be something that's under a hyper microscope for a lot of people, is Huni's performance with TSM. So far, in lane, transitioning more so to that weak side, tanks, supporting type of champions, he has done very well for TSM. And more importantly, he has been very clutch for TSM in a lot of these later team fights. He has managed his job, his role very well. And that is going to be something that, again, is a variance, right? You're going to have a variance in what Huni is going to provide to you. And right now, it's good. And thumbs up are good. And everyone's happy. Holo, holo, holo. Things are feeling great. But you got to be careful, because I'm telling you, there absolutely will be a downtime. There's going to be a downtime at some point, but it's going to be about weathering it and getting back up out of it. And that's only one aspect of TSM.
It's pretty simple, guys. Give PoE a quadra kill, win the game. That's it. That's the secret recipe to success for TSM.
Hey, don't let them get a Zir too. Don't let them get a Zir.
It's working pretty well for them so far as they can.
NA Larson
come in at number 2 on these LCS power rankings. But that's it for NA. Thank you guys for hanging. We'll catch you on that flippity flip.